Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
It's a good way to start. Little chuckles.
Yeah. Well, you make me chuckle, Danny.
I guess that's one of the reasons I'm here now, isn't it?
You're a funny guy, man.
I think
You don't always understand why you're funny, but you're a funny guy.
sometimes I understand and sometimes I don't.
I think you always understand. I think you always understand.
Yeah, I have a long
You're
and storied,
sour,
long and
angry,
storied history. I was a
hate-filled.
class clown right from the start. So.
Negative, salty, up yours attitude
were you
is
a class
just what
clown,
we're looking
Soren?
for. I talked a lot.
Being
I don't
a
know.
class
I'd like to
clown.
think
Curtis, you were a class clown?
I'd like to
yes.
think I made a couple of people laugh along the way.
But I managed to do it without getting in trouble because I managed to work in making the teacher. I knew who to do it with, who not to do it with, and some teachers you could make laugh if you included them into the humor.
The key is making the teacher laugh. If the teacher laughs, they can't really do much about it. And it's also a very easy enterprise. All you have to do is kind of have the courage. It's like being funny in church.
You're saying teachers are an easy audience? Very easy to make them laugh?
No, students are easy to make laugh in a setting like a classroom.
Okay.
Because they generally are too timid to.
A lot of fart jokes for you, Danny, in high school? Is that where you went?
None of that.
No? Highbrow humor? Politics only?
More retort-style humor, I would say.
He's like Dennis Miller in his prime. The teacher was saying, "Oh yeah, that's like a queequeg over here, babe."
It was kind of
Am
like
I right?
probably more like an elementary school version of that.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Still, can you imagine a 9-year-old just with Danny's delivery? And actually, that did not happen
Well,
in the Ice Age. I'm sorry. No.
here's just an
No.
indication maybe of what the humor was like. This got me kicked out of first grade
Oh,
up
this
to
should be
second
good.
grade.
Oh boy.
The teacher called me up to the front of the class to write a sentence on the board, and I wrote it in cursive. And she goes, "Danny, none of the other students can read that." And I'm like, that's their problem. At which point she said, "Well, I think we'll send you to Miss Gorman in second grade," which actually sucked because I hated her.
Yeah. Good times.
But anyway. Center School, Hopkinton, Massachusetts.
Danny's Humble Brags are brought to you by Easton Roofing, commercial and residential roofing with a project manager on site at every job. It's Easton Roofing, 4 straight years. Voted Best of Houses and Angie's List Super Service Award winner. You can check out their incredible reviews online for Google. Check it out right now. Even happy to do repairs. Customer service focused at Easton Roofing. No payments collected until you're 100% satisfied. Credit cards and PayPal is accepted, or even are accepted, Danny.
Yeah.
You'd be happy to correct me on that one, I'm
accepted.
sure.
I think it's be accepted.
913-257-5426. That's
Know what I'm
913-257-5426. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
It does.
Danny.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback sneak.
No issue. Non-issue.
As I'm going back, I've found 2 others.
Who's
now.
the most important football player
Tom Brady.
of our generation?
183-0 when it comes to quarterback sneaks versus injuries. And that's not counting last night. Did he run a couple last night?
Probably not. They were ahead 17-0 before people had been able to
Did they
drink
even-
half of a $15 beer. I don't know what does a beer cost in Meadowlands. Probably $18.
Did they even face third down last night?
Well, don't run things out like that. The game-winning drive by the Texans for 93 yards against the Chiefs, they never faced third down.
Yeah.
There have been a number of those against the Chiefs. The Patriots, Tom Brady was talking about the problems with the offense after the game. They did have at least one defensive score, and they got 4 turnovers. So technically speaking, they It wasn't a banner offensive night, but they capitalized on the field position.
They were way ahead so fast.
I agree, but I'm just saying it wasn't fireworks out of the Patriots' offense. And
their offense hasn't really been fireworks so far this year.
No,
but unfortunately
no one ever scores against them.
Unfortunately for the rest of the NFL, they've decided that let's pick this year to have our best defense ever.
Did you hear the stat about the road shutouts of 30 points or more? The last time a team had more than one road shutout of at least 30 points in a season was the 1942 Bears.
Wow.
It's been a
they had
day
Sid
or two.
Luckman. They didn't need to shut him all out.
And real quick, Danny, a beer at new MetLife Stadium is only $8.75, second
Whoa.
highest in the NFL.
That's second highest?
It's only 4 ounces, though.
The Redskins are charging 38.
Is that a 12? That must be a 12.
It's a NyQuil.
That's got to be a 12.
That's got to be a little bitty beer, yeah.
It's a shot.
No way that's like a nice...
Danny and I are men. We order the big draft.
Exactly.
In fact, we're insulted when they say, "Do you want the large?" Well, look at me.
Right,
For crying out loud. I mean, what the
Do you want me
big beer?
back here in 14 seconds?
I just ordered 3 plates of nachos.
It's like
yes, I want the large
It's
beer.
like my general feeling about the koozie, which is designed generally for a 12-ounce beer. I'm like, you're just drinking your beer too slow. You need a koozie.
That's right.
I mean, come on, man.
What is wrong with you?
Well, it's going to get warm. Well, then you're a pussy.
Cat, of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Meow.
Exactly.
Meow.
Just like we see at the outset. I wanted to come out a little unleashed. How'd that
Danny
work?
Unleashed.
There you
It's
go.
called Danny Unleashed for those of you. Did you go for it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure did. Successfully.
It's technically those of you listening online heard what Danny said. It's technically not an FCC violation, but
Yeah,
probably
I
best.
think it might be frowned upon.
I thought that was okay.
Not
Some
when
of the
I'm
things
running
that are
the board.
allowed that I don't, that you know that and aren't allowed. I feel like George Carlin now,
Yeah.
but
You can
you
talk
can
about
say.
it.
I mean, everybody can
can't
say.
refer to
Let's not talk about what you can and can't say.
No, but everybody can say now that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That
right.
is
Yes.
infinitely worse than what I have just said. It sucks. Right. Derivation therein.
Okay.
Lies said quandary.
Well, let's just hope Joe at Easton Roofing has a sense of humor and doesn't pull his sponsorship of this segment.
I can guarantee you Joe is giggling right now.
Yeah, I know. So
Danny,
good.
why is your
That's
phone
why
ringing?
I brought it up. If I thought there were any concerns, I would have not brought it up. I'm quite confident.
Can't wait.
Joe,
We just hung out and had some beers last
Joe
Friday,
is
so,
Joe is getting the best laugh out of this.
The
I
next
have no
week's
doubt.
show will be Danny Unsponsored. Time for Danny Unsponsored.
Hey, you're the host. It's up for you to turn the page to sports.
Brought to you by no one.
Well, that's all right. What's his name's Nito stat of the night has never been sponsored
I think
on
that's
the
Nito.
NBA post game.
Yeah.
What's I forget his name. My guy, we all love him. Ernie Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the one they do
Ernie's
on that Get
Nito
Up show
stat of the night,
is
sponsored by no one.
Nobody. That's great.
I love that thing.
the Get Up show on ESPN. They use their trivia guy is Sneaky Hembo.
Oh
So
yeah.
they say it's Sneaky Hembo time, a phrase that drives me nuts. I don't know.
What does it mean? I don't even get it.
Well, Hembo's the guy, the producer dude or whatever who comes up with the question, and then Mike Greenberg apparently thinks it's funny to call it Sneaky Hembo time, but it's not.
Not really what I'd consider to be one of our top 5 comedic minds.
No, the show's a
look.
little too over the top, but there's nothing else on. So when it's on, so I watch it some.
Okay. Good to know. Danny, so you're okay with the quarterback sneak? No problem with that.
No problem with the quarterback sneak. At your issue with, I mean, the only thing we could have learned from the Chiefs, have we not learned this now over the last few years? The only 2 things we could have learned for the Chiefs was that Patrick Mahomes was going to play this Sunday, or he was going on IR. Any other bits of information are folderol and should be ignored completely.
I don't know what that word means. I did derive from the words around it, what its meaning is. I'm in the ballpark of what it means.
An
Useless,
old-timey word for,
irrelevant, so on and so forth.
Balderdash.
Yes. Poppycock.
All in the same
Crap.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in the
irrelevant.
Same,
Official
all in the same
dictionary,
family.
trivial or nonsensical fuss. I love the word fuss.
But
fuss is in the
to your
dictionary.
point, Soren, you were there when I ruptured my patellar tendon.
Yeah.
You saw.
I've cited it as a reason why I know he's not going to play. Now yours was worse.
Oh, yeah, and I had run
But I
every
saw the
single day for
kneecap.
19 years, and my kneecap was a foot and a half from where it was supposed to be.
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes was not, but it was several inches from where it was supposed to be. And by definition, the ligaments on each side are designed to keep the kneecap in place. They failed to do their job.
So he's hurt.
So it had to be stretched enough for it to pop out. And to think that there is no damage to those ligaments
is ridiculous.
Is foolish.
It's
Now
just
imagine
ridiculous.
if
And the
you're-
concept
might
that
be-
you would subject your quarterback with now two bum legs.
Now,
is,
to me, I'm not trying to be the guy who everybody had a knee injury and had a story and everything, and I was 49 years old when this happened, and I get all of that.
Let's point out, that does drive me crazy every time there's an injury.
Sure.
Like I like the 19 guys in a row calling in to tell you, I had a knee injury, boy, my knee injury. Like, no.
And I'm not comparing the injuries. All
And
I
you're
know
not.
is that what the ligaments are designed exactly to do. They failed. Okay.
Yeah.
It's impossible for it to be fine.
Right.
Yes.
They one or both of them moved enough so that the kneecap popped out.
And if you can, just straighten your leg and apply just a little bit of pressure on the inside of your kneecap, just a little bit, and then imagine how much pressure it takes to move that thing to the side of your leg.
And then how it would feel.
Yes,
But
that's not a minor
His
activity.
knee is damaged. I want to be clear. That's the one thing we're
Let's
like,
at
well, there
least
was no
say
damage.
his knee is compromised. If
That-
you don't even want to
okay.
go to damage,
That's fine. Yeah,
it's
use whatever term you
compromised.
want. But yeah,
It's folderol.
And so when they're like, well, what they'll do is they'll put it in a brace, and well, it's not healthy then. The brace is then doing what the ligaments are supposed to do.
Exactly.
And then he can get through the season.
And he
then
may
at
be
the
able
end
to
of the
come back,
season-
like they say, in 2 or 3 weeks because they can brace it up and he can play. But he's
let me
he's
be
hurt.
clear. But let me be clear. No brace is as supportive as the healthy knee would be
exactly.
because it's outside the knee.
You aren't
doing the job as best it can.
You don't come out,
but he will be compromised all year.
You don't come out of the womb and Dr. Jones says, forceps, 2 knee braces.
Yeah.
to slap on little baby
Right.
Jones.
Yeah.
No,
He's
he's got healthy knees right now.
Right. It's but look, the task at hand now is for Matt Moore to win football games.
Right.
Andy Reid has won football games with backup quarterbacks. I've heard it said, well, he wins football games when he gives up 10 points with the backup quarterbacks. Okay. Well,
Their point totals have not been fantastic when he's had backup quarterbacks. But it was a different NFL at that time for most of them, too. Let's remember that.
What have his point totals been for the Kansas City Chiefs? And add on, if you want the Chase Daniel games.
I think Chase put up 19-1, I believe.
There's one they missed a field goal, which would have given them the win. That was in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is look at Chase Daniel game logs.
Yeah,
because Daniel's the only one.
The
The only quarterbacks to start for, and then Nick Foles.
Mm-hmm.
The only quarterbacks to start for Andy Reid are Alex Smith, Chase Daniel, Nick Foles, and Patrick Mahomes. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see. The first one with the Chiefs, they scored 24.
Okay.
Then they scored 19 in 2014.
And that's the one they won, right?
Yeah, 19-7.
7.
Okay.
The first one was the one they lost because he missed a field goal. Let's see. That would be then
Foles
would be
beat the
16,
Colts in an
right?
ugly game, right?
One at
Or he
San Diego.
finished the Colts, and then he went and had an ugly win as a starter. He didn't start the game against the Colts. He finished it, and that's the one that he looked good. And then he had an ugly game where they won.
Let's see. Foles Only game I see him starting.
Yes, one game. It's one game.
Because he came in relief.
Please tell me the game he started for the Chiefs.
19 points, 19-14.
Okay, so
19
that's the one.
Twice and
the game before that, he came in relief and looked really good. That's where he was throwing it down the field. And then Mahomes against the Broncos in Denver to finish the year. And I'll point out the Chase Daniel starts and the Mahomes starts were all backups.
Right.
So it wasn't just the backup quarterback with everybody around him. So I hear the narrative, and a lot of the numbers, a lot of the oxygen that's being sucked up on the backup quarterback numbers go back to the end of his run at Philadelphia where the team sucked.
27 for Mahomes in that last game against Denver.
Okay, so we had 27 all backups.
Yeah.
Right? Chase Daniels, 2 games.
And by the way, that Mahomes' first NFL start.
Chase Daniels, 2 games, all backups. Okay? And Nick Foles, no, it wasn't a great game. But that's it. That's what we've got here in Kansas City. If you go back to the games for the Eagles, where Nick Foles was his guy. Yes, as a rookie 6th-round pick.
Well, I think that one thing that's
that's
in play here is the fact that, and you've alluded to it when I was talking to Stan the other day for our Monday podcast, he was thinking that maybe Andy Reid in this little period, however long it be, will kind of return to his roots a little bit.
And run the ball more?
No, and more of the short passing game and the jet sweeps and such stuff like that. Because he has kind of fallen in love with everybody, like street football. What's the play? You all go long.
Yeah.
Go long. You go to the car, you go to the, 5 receivers, minimum, the shortest pattern out there is 9 yards downfield.
Oh, I think you're going to see the bubble screens and the different things like that. I think you'll probably see a shovel pass or 2.
Yeah, and I think they have every bit of chance of operating at a pretty good level. Matt Moore his numbers look like most reasonable backup quarterbacks. He started enough games in the league. His quarterback rating for his career is 81. It's not terrible.
Well, it is by the modern standards, but the days that he played, it's not a disaster.
No.
Listen, what drags him down are the picks, right? And the lack of touchdowns. So where they're gonna kick field goals instead of score touchdowns, which is why the defense is going to need to perform because the truly elite quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, 50 touchdowns, 38 of them came from the red zone. For all the long bombs and all that, the actual touchdown throws, 38 of them came from inside the red zone. So that's 20 yards and in. All right, so only 12 came from outside there. That's where you set them apart. That's what Mahomes can do that Alex Smith can't and Matt Moore can't. Thread the needle when you get down close. And so he's going to struggle there. So I expect more field goals. All right, so you're going to have a good day out of Butker. You're going to need to get more opportunities down there in field goal range, which means this would be a nice day to get some good returns, okay, and set up some short fields. Certainly takeaways in defense are going to be a big part of it.
And that part of their game hasn't been very good this year, so they need to pick that up.
They need to pick it up. And finally, can somebody else explain to me the mystery of DeAnthony Thomas and his extended time here in this city?
Well, maybe dawn breaketh over Marblehead. They finally decided they came to that
well, I mean,
realization.
I got hit up with some folks on Twitter like, well, Petro he's got to be happy because he finally got what he wants. It's not that I want into which I think it was meant in the right spirit. The spirit that at least how I took it was, yes, this has been one of my head scratchers. I believe Andy Reid and Brett Veach and Dave Tobe and the receiver coach now,
Greg Lewis,
all to be bright, intelligent guys because I see the success they have at many, many parts of their job. What they all see in DeAnthony Thomas, I do not.
Yeah, and I probably don't pay enough attention to him on the coverage units. That's the only explanation that I have that he's pretty good in coverage. On the when he's not returning kicks, when he's running down on kicks. So I can't speak to that.
Like what? He gets around the guy when he fair catches it. Nobody returns any punts anymore.
That's a point. That's a point.
I mean, the ball goes up in the air. To your point about, you've said it for a number of years, how good the punters are. They boom them so far up in the air. Nobody out-kick the coverage is a term that we're going to have to explain to our kids because nobody does it anymore. Right? It used to happen all the time.
Oh,
boy.
you go kick the coverage.
Well, what does that mean, Dad? Well, the punt goes too far. What do you mean? I mean, everybody just fair catches a punt. How did it go beyond the coverage? I know. They all get hang time now. Nobody kicks a line drive anymore.
Or it goes out of bounds.
Right? Yeah. I mean, they all can. To your point.
And also, the kickoff returns are obviously considerably lessened also. So, yeah, I don't know how much of a – maybe they remember the days when there were more returns when he first was a player, and, oh, boy, he's really good on the coverage teams. We need him. He plays all the coverage teams. I don't know. I'm with you. I don't understand. I've never understood it. And he's just brain dead out there, too, in the return game.
And he dropped one.
Yes. He'll fumble it around inside the 5, too. Like, here he comes down to the coverage unit. Oh, he's the guy that I'm going to let it bounce 2 more times to try to get at the 1 instead of just taking it here at the 3. And it mutter farts into the end zone.
Well, the other thing is, too, apparently these guys are now being told if it's at the 5, catch it and try to return it because these kickers are so good they'll kill it at the 2.
They all can get the back.
Well, I'm telling you
but not
what.
while you're facing away from the
the difference between the 2 and the 5.
over the shoulder going in.
Facing your own goal line because then you still have to turn around to move and you're moving that direction.
The difference between the 2 and 5 is not worth it to me for the decent chance you're going to get the ball at the 20.
Yeah.
I mean, and most of the time you oftentimes when they're fielding the punts, usually when they're fielding the punts at the 5 or the 6 or the 4, it's a punt from the 50 or something. So or the 45. So the coverage team's usually there.
Mm-hmm. I'll listen to, like I had extended it. The old adage was inside the 10, let it go. Yeah. That had gotten to the 7. I would roll up to the 5 now, I guess, but never inside the 5. Never. And what's
I'd probably
frustrating?
Still stick with the 7. Really.
Well, what's frustrating is how often he's on a back pedal to inside the 10.
Right.
Like start at the 5 and move up.
Right.
Like why is he always like what scouting or lack of scouting has gone on that he's always moving back to that area?
Yeah, when you were not supposed to take it inside the 10, he lined up at the 10.
Move back.
Right,
Where is that on the sideline?
When he was supposed to be not fielding it inside the 10, they lined up at the 10. So if you're not going to
put your heels on the 10 and you know not to go back. If you have to go back, you don't go back.
If the rule now is the 5, then why aren't you at the 5?
I don't know. They're apparently expecting the 22-yard punt. It boggles my freaking mind.
Yeah, it's been a bad year so far.
Well, but here's the other one here's what he'll do also. Then in a big field. Right? In a big field, he's on a dead sprint up and has to bail out at the last minute because he didn't get up there and field the punt. And then it hits and rolls 20 yards.
He's gone. He's gone, buddy. Your blood pressure. It's
for now.
Well,
yeah,
I mean...
Yeah, he could be back in a week.
Listen, I'm telling you...
Mahomes comes
he could be back.
Sherman
Yeah,
goes
exactly.
Back down,
oh, I guarantee he's on this team again this year. No one else is going to sign him. Yep. He went, what, 4 weeks into training camp? Injuries happening all over the place, and nobody signed him. He'll be available, and they will sign him. What do you want to bet?
I can't wait for the feel-good TV stories about Dat's back.
He is the perfect example of I saw some highlights of him on SportsCenter when he was at Oregon, so I love this draft pick. And then we have mountains of evidence that pick sucked, but yet fans literally do that. Dat's back. I know, and he hasn't pissed a drop in this town.
There's going to be like a parallel universe type of doc, Pat and Dat, where they're just going to follow the two of them around for 5 years.
There isn't a guard who can stay in front of his man available over him who can't field the punt, can't take it anywhere.
And occasionally
if you
fumbles
put
the
him
punt.
on offense, he goes down when you go.
Yeah.
There isn't a corner who might wander around into one out there on the streets. Like they act like this is the only.
Well, he was on.
I don't care who gets hurt. Well, that's back.
He was on.
You lost 3 linebackers on one play. I know we signed D'Anthony Thomas.
He was on the. He was on
Why?
the. He was on the team when Byron Pringle was on the practice squad.
I know.
Yes.
They cut Pringle to bring back Thomas.
I know. And he's got a fun name, Pringle.
And even Thomas was like,
If you just like the snappy name, Dat.
even Thomas in that movie was like, really? You sure?
Did they just want the headline writers to have something to do? Who dat? What
Who
dat?
dat?
Oh yeah.
Why? Why dat?
Some moron fan to be able to carve up some dumb sign. That's it. That's it. Take it to the house.
I would say most fans would have why dat, not who dat.
Exactly.
Dat
I don't know.
back or
He seems to have some
That's
affection.
not it.
he dat.
That's not it.
That's not going to work. That's not where you're supposed to be.
Oh.
All right, we'll take a break. Come back. We'll get positive next. Positive. I mean, it is a positive. They made a move.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is Where Integrity Matters. Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
Who hit the first walk-off, pennant-winning home run outside of New York City? There have been 6 overall.
I asked if it was Jose Altuve, like that was the first one. You said no.
Nope.
It's been 6 outside of New York.
Mm-hmm. No, there have been 6 overall. Who was the first one to hit one outside of New York City?
And so there's at least 2 because Altuve did it, and it's not him.
Correct.
Oh, what's his name? Ishikawa?
Travis Ishikawa? Nope. He was the most recent before Altuve for the Giants.
So there's at least 3.
There's
It's the
3.
last 2 you're looking for?
Who was the first one to hit one outside of New York
So I was
City?
right that Ishikawa did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was one before
Whatever makes
him.
you feel better about yourself, Danny. You
You
did
know,
not.
right now I can use a few things.
That's funny.
I was reveling in getting the answer correct, but
You did not.
A walk-off.
now I need a repeat of the question to get the exact parameter.
First walk-off pennant-winning homer outside of New York City. The first 3 happened in New York. Bobby Thompson in 51.
Right.
Chris Chambliss in 76. Aaron Boone in 2003.
Right.
So it's after 3.
Mm-hmm.
So why? This should not be that hard. Why are we struggling so much with this,
It
Danny?
ended a sweep, so
that's
it wasn't
probably
quite
why.
as dramatic.
Ended a sweep. So a
Well,
sweep
that's
in
probably
the
not that memorable. I'm not going to try hard now.
Royals didn't end that way. And it was previous. But what year was Ishikawa?
14.
14.
Between 3 and 14.
If it's in a
Is
sweep,
it National
I'm
League?
not,
Is that why we're missing
American
it?
League.
Oh, it's an American League.
if it's a sweep, I'm not going to try that.
The guy who hit a lot of home runs against the Royals.
So Tomei. Konerko.
Jermaine Dye.
Nope.
A lot of Dunn.
Played mostly for the White Sox and Tigers.
We should really be getting this.
Right-hand
Ordonez.
Maglio Ordonez.
Nailed it.
2006.
You're not getting these questions by me. You give me 19 guesses and 7
Exactly.
clues, and I will kick the crap out of your questions,
Got
Curtis.
it. You got
Danny,
it.
what are your thoughts on that question?
It sucks.
That's fantastic.
I like the
love
question,
that
but
drop.
it did lose a little cachet when it was in a
It was
sweep.
But it was Maglio in a sweep.
Maglio.
Well, Altuve's was in the
So
sixth
the,
game.
the,
so.
the first 3 were all. I mean, yeah, New York's had a lot of games, but not one until 06 had there been one outside of New York City.
It's a very Seabolt-esque question.
Oh, yeah.
But without Tuve having done it, without Tuve having done it this year, I think it's fine. It's fine. So you can shut up, Danny.
Jose, I said it was a fine question.
Well, I heard you saying it sucks.
I said it lost some cachet.
You screaming
I heard
it sucks.
you scream that it sucks.
Oh, the alternate universe me.
And you were also saying that you were feeling down, Danny. I can find something to help you with that, too.
It's quick and easy, and your car gets a thorough hand job.
Just stop, get a car wash, man. You'll be in great spirits.
I'm feeling just fine. I was kidding.
Gross.
By the way, Good Sense, what we were playing for, I had the big meeting around here. So the Good Sense party trays, as you know, I did not get to partake in any.
I saw the empty tray.
The sandwiches were crushed. So if you need a meeting and you want to have lunch, that's fine. And then if you like, you can do like we do around here. Everybody eat all the food and then leave it for me to clean up after you. I will tell you the other thing that's great about a Good Sense party tray, lots of condiments because there was lots of pickles and olives and pepperoncinis and mayo and mustard and vinegar. Don't you hate it when they just give you the things you don't have anything to put it on the top of it? Plenty of the condiments and the adding toppings and onions and all that. It's a good
goodies,
time.
All the goodies. All the one of my least favorite words of all time, all the fixins.
Yep. All the fixings.
You can order it online at goodsensesubs.com or with the Good Sense apps, and of course you get 10% back if you're part of the loyalty club. It's the best deal going. Danny Klinkskill is here, sour as ever, here in the program. All mad about DeAnthony Thomas being cut.
Danny and his surgically repaired kneecap.
More Broncos offense or more Chiefs defense?
I think I agree with Curtis's percentages that he put on Twitter the other day.
So 2/3 of 40%?
Yeah, I think that to me it looked like the Broncos had as much of a letdown when Mahomes went out of the game as the Chiefs. It was like, we came here to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, not this sad sack
and it
bunch.
It did kind of look at one point.
And then once the defensive touchdown went, it was like they might have as well walked off the field.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of – once they started smacking him around, there wasn't much fire from Joe Flacco in that offense.
Well, no, but –
part of that's when you get smacked around a lot. Defense does that to you.
Listen,
I'm not going to completely take all the credit away.
You can only slap around the team that's in front of you.
Exactly.
They didn't have a chance to slap around the Patriots. They'll get a chance to slap around the Packers, and we'll know a lot more this week.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah,
but
cannot.
But crapping on their performance last week is unacceptable,
Danny. I'm not going to crap. I'm not going to crap on it. I'm just going to say the Broncos were complicit.
They had a hand in their own demise, as you're saying.
They were a willing accomplice to the Chiefs' excellence. I mean, it just looked like a high school game, between a 6A team and a 3A team on passing plays for the rest of the game. And Flacco, he's not mobile, but really he was like taking one step back and trying to set into and then he was swarmed under like in the longest yard or something. Whichever one you like. I didn't watch the second one.
The first one.
Yeah.
But I'll say it was more the Broncos, but the Chiefs, like you say, you can only beat the team that's in front of you. I think that any game where you do something like that has to give you a little bit of confidence. They hadn't been rushing the passer very well, but in the end, sometimes you're going to, now the Chiefs' sack numbers are pretty good because they haven't played very many games, and really, all of them have come in one game. So, yeah, if they go out and the Packers only score 24, even if they lose, I would say that's a good day at the office.
Yeah, I would too. I'd take under 27.
Yeah, right now.
I mean, I used to say 17-24 was no man's. There was a time that it was like 17-20 was no man's land for like who's to credit or blame. So any offense that scored more than 20, they did their job. Any defense that gave up less than 17, they did their job. So in other words, if you lose a game 16-13, that's on the offense, right? Now I think that number's 20-27.
I agree with that. I think if you lose a game 23-20 now, it's absolutely on the offense.
Yeah, you've got to be able to go up and down in the NFL now. So I think in this game, you stretch that all the way to the upper end, 27 against Aaron Rodgers, and I think that's a lot to ask of Matt Moore in this game. So I understand why the Packers are laying 4. Isn't it the last 3 times the Chiefs have been a dog at home, they've won outright? Isn't that the deal, or is it against NFC teams?
This is only the third. This is the third time they've been a dog at home under Andy Reid. They've won one and lost the other.
Did they cover?
They covered one, the one they won, and they did not cover the one they lost.
You said they lost 2.
No, they won
this
one.
is the
this
third
will be
one.
the third.
Yeah,
This
this
is the third one.
The last one was the Monday night game against New England in 2014 that they rolled, so they won that and covered. The other one was the game against Denver there, where they had a 14-0 and 21-7 leads, but lost 35-28. They were a 6-point dog there, so they didn't cover or win.
Was that the Jamal Charles?
Mm-mm.
No.
That was the second game. That was in 2015. Peyton Manning let him do a score late. Then the ensuing possession, Charles fumbled and they put it in the end zone and won it. But no, so just 3 times they had a boatload of home dogs when they were bad. They lost like 9 straight games at home before Reed got here.
It's a significant challenge, but the Packers have also had their moments where they didn't look as good, even though they've only lost once.
They seem to be sort of on a upward trend, though. I mean, they played really bad the first game.
I think Aaron Rodgers. I mean that was, and that offense was like, hey, the quarterback didn't play all preseason, so it's not in sync. They've been better and better of late. He had a 400-yard game at about week 4. Then he had some 200s for like 3 weeks, and then he had a 400. He had the incredible game this past weekend. So
they've been allowing some yards, 560 plus to the Cowboys 3 weeks ago, and then 480 to the Raiders this Sunday. So they've given up some yardage.
Yeah, that's the one thing that Matt Moore's got a chance to move the ball.
Right, and that's been interesting because at the outset of the season, everybody thought the Packers' defense was going to be quite good, and
and it was to start the year.
Yeah, it was. So we'll see what the Packers do seem to in the last few years have a little bit of schizophrenia in them. So you just have to hope that they kind of peaked in the game. I mean, if they play anywhere near the level they played the other day, you're kind of doomed.
But they give up yard. They don't give up points.
I think it's fair.
26th in yardage, 9th in points. So there is some.
How many they give up to the Raiders?
24. But it was the last one was almost like thrown in at the gun.
What
they
are
also
their
had
point
him
totals?
fumble in the end zone on a dumb play.
But lately it's been increasing.
Yeah, what are they game by game?
3, 16.
No, they had 10. What are their
their
point
points.
totals?
10, 21, 27, 27, 34, 23, 42. And they've allowed 3, 16, 16, 34, 24, 22, 24. So that's 4 straight games they've given up 22 or more. So they're.
It's still, if we say 27, it's under 27 every game but one, right?
Yeah.
It's a big challenge. There's no doubt.
And they've been over 24 how many times?
1, 2, 3, 4 times.
4 out of 7?
Yeah. 10, 21, and 23 of the others.
And also,
I'm not sure why they're not favored by more.
I'm with you there. And I think the Chiefs also kind of had a moment on defense where if they'd gotten their ass kicked on defense again against the Broncos, and even if they'd survived and won, whatever, they maybe there'd be some fear factor here, like, geez, we better man up here or we're going to get run out of the building. And I think that little edge that you can have, that you're going to be embarrassed, I think that's lost.
I think playing with fear is
and I don't think they're playing with fear after that. I think they're feeling a little bit good about themselves. So I think that little edge might be gone.
So
it's just tough. It's going to be tough.
And I agree with you. I think everything points to them laying an egg on defense. The caliber of opponent and the fact that they're coming off a great performance, human nature would be like, no, we're good. Now, maybe
how could you lay back on defense when Aaron Rodgers is?
Well, but my point is,
no, you don't think you don't think you stink, and then you just went out and proved, hey, we don't really stink. We're pretty good.
Yeah.
And so you're not terrified of putting 50 on the board.
And I'll give you another one. The rally around the backup quarterback for one game. Good teams will rally around a backup quarterback for one game. That was kind of all spent last week.
I agree with that too.
And I think there's a sense of, oh no, we're good. We're fine with Matt. We still put 30 up there. Well, 7 of them was defense.
Right.
And so,
and 3 of them were on the drive that Mahomes was actually in on.
Right.
It was Matt Moore was the quarterback, but that was Mahomes' points.
So, I mean, you really, with Matt Moore, scored 10 points.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Mahomes set you up for the field goal. He handed off 3 times and took a field goal. I'll give that to Mahomes for driving him down there. So you scored 10 points with Matt Moore. And it was a great play to Tyreek Hill.
But it was
and
one
they
play.
could do that
Half-
at any time, but it was one play.
Yeah, almost half his yards came on one completion.
So I think it's easy for everyone to be like, oh, we're fine, we're good, and then you're actually not. So now, that being said, so we're all afraid of that, right? So if they go handle business against the Packers,
I'll be very impressed.
and that will be a statement that this team is really coming together. Defensively, we're starting to believe it wasn't just a fluke and a bad Bronco team. It starts to look a lot more, immensely more after doing it to the Packers than it did before. And so I just want to set the parameters. So there's no poo-pooing the defensive performance this week if they show out against the Packers.
Absolutely
none.
not.
Because there's every reason to suck this week.
Full credit. Full points.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah. 110%.
Yeah. 100. Ooh, there you go.
We will take a break and talk about moral victories with Danny next here in the program.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker of Easton Roofing. And Joe, oftentimes people will wait to replace their roof until there is a weather event. What should they know about that?
Well, Danny, the important thing to remember is if you're going to turn in a claim to your insurance company, you want to make sure that you actually have damage on your home. If you turn in a claim to your insurance company and they send an insurance adjuster out, it's going to be a claim whether they give you $1 or $10,000. So it's important to make sure that you actually have damage on your home before you turn that claim in. And all you have to do is give us a call. We'll come out, take a look, and make sure there's real damage, and we'll tell you if there's not. Maybe it's just a small repair and it's not worth a claim. So it's always smart to get somebody you trust to make sure there's damage before you turn in a claim.
Quality advice and guidance from Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
All right, Danny, there's such a thing as moral victories for the Kansas football team. Was that a moral victory?
I think you feel good because you put up all the points. But so I'm going to say in this case, I'm not much of a fan of moral victories. In this case, I'll say yeah.
Absolutely. They haven't had a moral victory forever. There's absolutely a moral victory. That was a sign of progress.
If they lost to Texas 23-21 on the last-second field goal, you'd really be able to just say that Texas was half asleep and beat him at the finish. But Kansas just kept on scoring in the fourth quarter. Texas was fully on alert entering the fourth quarter, and they still couldn't handle Kansas. Yeah. So
this wasn't like we shocked them for the first half, and they kept fumbling the ball away.
Right.
Kansas had to keep going down the field.
It was going toe-to-toe. It's not often you can do that, but I'll say that I'll say that's a good one.
All right, TCU, K-State. Is that a moral victory?
Oh, I think that's a good victory.
I mean, obviously it's a win, but I mean, is there what? I guess that was a stupid way to put it. Define what that win is against TCU. That would be almost a more K-State or more TCU. Because I heard your interview, you and Stan, listening to College Game Day on Saturday with Gary Patterson, and you guys brought up the subject of the transfers and all that different things. But there seemed to be a lot of conversation about 50 new guys, and I was kind of like, that had me stepping back. I was like, I'm not liking my TCU pick too much.
Well, I think that. I think TCU looked like the better football team to me most of the day.
Statistically, they were.
And the more dangerous one. But K-State was gritty and did some K-State things. Big special teams play, made a big play at the finish. I'm sure if you're TCU, you're kind of kicking yourself. And all day long watching that game, I kind of felt like TCU was going to pull it out.
I did too.
But they didn't. So
that's twice because Mississippi State out-yarded them all over the place, and they still beat them. So twice they've out-managed the game.
Well, they've won 2 games this year where they've basically gained 260 yards. So if you want to say that that's kind of fool's gold and their offense is bad and they kind of got lucky, I'll listen to that a little bit. But I'll say more in the category of good toughness. Maybe they know how to win. Maybe this is a Chris Kleiman thing. I don't know. It's too early to say that, but I'm just going to say it's a good win because they easily could have lost. That was a quality opponent, and I thought the quality opponent played pretty well.
I think it's a real good win, and I think Chris Kleiman knows how to manage a game. That's one thing that I'm coming away from that.
You're just being nice to Curtis and avoiding the other college squad?
No, I'm going to get to it. I'm going to hit them all. We're going to hit them all. And then Missouri. What do you make of Odom spitting the bit against a Vanderbilt team that I'm here to tell you is not good?
Well, they're horrendous. I mean, they got run off the field by UNLV the week before, and even with the usual bunch of people who want to party in Nashville from the opponent. There were 22,000 people there. I mean, there's no atmosphere at the game. There's no rallying for Vanderbilt. No, it was inexcusable. The game was almost impossible to lose. How many times do you ever hear like Stan Weber guarantee that a team is going to beat the other team and cover? He's like, I'm not a betting man, but I can't see any reason why that, It was awful. It was.
Well, I am, and that's when you bet that.
It was
team.
just
it's when it looks like it's impossible. I don't know how they did it. Vanderbilt's not good. The coach's reaction afterwards speaks to how much he knows the walls are closing in on him.
He's just like a guy who
banker down
is struck out
or Aikman dead or whatever he said.
Struck out with 24 consecutive ladies at the bar, and then he ends up with Heidi Klum. I mean,
by the way, don't
that was his reaction. Like, I can't even freaking believe this. It was so.
Hear this.
Oh, I heard it.
Aikman down. Aikman down. Don't you think he's saying Aikman's
I know what
down?
I know what he was saying.
Aikman dead. Commodore's Aikman down. Aikman down.
It does sound like Aikman down, but it's supposed to be anchors down, isn't it? Or anchor down.
I feel bad for Mizzou. I feel bad for Odom.
I feel bad because this just creates the same. Oh, there's Missouri being Missouri.
I know.
They Missouri'd it.
It's a rut they can't get out of.
No, and it comes at the worst possible moments. Riding high, we're ranked again. Maybe there's an outside chance we could actually win the division.
They're talking about winning the division.
And then you go, I mean, and in that fashion, too. 14 stinking points.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Don't ever see you can't lose this game, speaking of Missouri, in any sport.
Danny Clinkscale brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. Easton Roofing, integrity matters.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.